Hello, everyone. Hey! Welcome. It's the week. We've arrived. Time for the Sharks to come out and time to play hockey. It's the opening week of hockey. Let's get going, Russ. What's going on with you today?
Well, I'm going to talk about football for a minute because there was a tale about the New York Jets a few weeks ago when Aaron Rodgers started his first game and he gets hurt and they say he's out for the year. It doesn't look like he really is going to be out for the year now. And there's this whole malaise on the Jets. It's like, oh, the season's over. We tried Zach Wilson. He stinks. And everybody's like giving up. And everybody told me I should give up. And even going into this game against Denver, like I wasn't going to give up because the Jets do have a lot of good players. And Wilson did learn some things from Rodgers. And I was
Denver sucks.
Denver, but you need to get wins off teams, right? And and teams like the Bills losing, like there's other things that happen in other divisions that kept it close, right? And that's why my whole feeling was, why should I throw away the season yet? And I didn't understand that thinking. And look, and that wasn't even from Jets fans thinking. That was from a lot of media's thinking too. So I'm just here to tell you, the NFL is weird. And it's got to be like mid-season before you decide if a team is out of it, truly out of it. So don't ever give up that.
Well, okay. So this is the thing. The Jets could still make the playoffs. The AFC, I mean, there are teams in there that are not great. There are teams that are having injuries.
The Bills have tons of injury issues.
I think the Bills are still going to make the playoffs, but I think their legitimate Super Bowl aspirations are over with because they've not, you could say, oh, everybody gets injuries. They've lost 2 All-Pros. They lost White and they lost Milano for the year. I haven't heard a final.
The Milano one's really tough.
Yeah, it's an ACL, so it's really bad. So they're really hampered. So they're not going to win the Super Bowl. But no, you don't give up on the season.
People were saying that they were like,
I think that's dumb. No, but here's the thing, and and honestly, I said this on Off the Post, and I'm gonna say it again. The National Football League are a bunch of whores. They really are. Now, and this is the reason I say that rather strong statement, because they don't care about their players. All they care about is money. And the reason I say that is because of this crap with playing games over in London. On a field at the Tottenham Stadium in London, where it apparently has, and I didn't know this, but this is the stadium. The outside part of the stadium is what the new Bills Stadium is going to look like, and it looks great. And it's got the overhang that protects the fans. That's great. It's got a field that is grass, and they have a field that you can bring a turf field out over the grass so that the grass apparently doesn't get destroyed.
Right.
Oh, excuse me, just throw away the friggin' players. The one player for Jacksonville, one of their offensive linemen, they think he might have a torn Achilles. They're one of their offensive linemen because they're playing on this turf. They're basically saying, well, our feet were sticking to it. Oh, God forbid that we mess up the grass. That's what I said. The NFL, they don't give a good goddamn about their players. All they care about is money, and this is the reason why. Okay, enjoy the Sunday afternoon spectacle, but you know what? If you put any stock in this league, you're a sap.
I mean, here's the one thing I would say. Clearly, the soccer team prevailed on that one and got their way.
If that's the reason why, and if that's the reason why they play at Wembley.
There's 2 things though. There's 2 things I didn't like about the London thing that you never take into account. And I don't want to make excuses for the Bills, but Jaguars were there for 2 weeks.
Right.
They were there for 2 weeks getting used to the London, and the Bills didn't get enough time at all. That's one thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is the NFL really should mandate grass for every stadium, no matter what. It's the richest league in North America. There's no question they should have it. Now, the only problem, Eck, is, for Jets-Giants Stadium, for MetLife Stadium, they have a game every week. So maybe that's the one where they have to figure out how to put it on trays or something. But this is the 21st century. Are you telling me we can't figure this out?
Yeah, there's got to be a way. I agree with you. There's got to be a way.
This is just stupid now.
I mean, the other thing is, it's like you say, it is about money. It's about getting as many events as you can. And that MetLife Stadium has tons of concerts in there as well. So it's like
they said that the turf at that stadium was like playing on concrete.
And I played on turf this summer for a baseball game, and I've done it a few times in my life. I don't do it a lot, and it is a noticeable difference. Just everything you do, the way the ball, the way everything bounces, the way you feel when you're walking on it. It's a whole different feel. And, so for football, I just don't understand it.
I don't understand it at all. No, I agree with you. Hopefully I'm not freezing up too much here, guys.
No, you just froze that 1 second. That's it.
I don't know what's going on with my internet. Anyway, all right, cool. All right, so we know the NFL is all about money. And today's Hockey Buzzcast is brought to you by – just kidding. All right, here we go. All right. Hello, Hockey World. It is Monday, October 9th, 2023.
I'm Johnny I'm Michael Agello.
Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I am Eklund, and you're watching Hockey Buzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com, or listening to it, perhaps. This is the podcast that comes to you weekdays, sometimes.
Sporadically.
Occasionally.
Once a month.
Momentarily, we're a part of your lives. And to discuss the comings and goings in the hockey world. And we got a season to talk about. And we got predictions we got to do.
Yep. Yeah, well, and we can do one division each day, because you can't. The predictions aren't going to be affected by one game. It's like, we can't predict that about the Chicago Blackhawks.
I don't know, might affect mine.
Bite
me. But why don't we start with the big contract news?
Yeah, let's start with the big contract. So if you the love child of Ulf Dahlin and Rasmus Sandin. Rasmus Sandin and Ulf Dahlin.
First of all, he's older than Rasmus Sandin.
I know.
And it's the wrong spelling for Ulf Dahlin. So
I know, so that's why I'm saying it's their love child. When they combine their last names, like some hipsters do. Anyway, you've got good old
Rasmus
Sandus. No.
Not Sandus Ozelich. Rasmus Dahlin.
Rasmus Dahlin. Not Sandwich Ozelich.
Okay, we can say this because we heard this at the draft when Russ and I were there, and Anthony and a few others. That this was, they were talking about a deal. They were talking about an 8-year deal. They were talking about a deal that was going to get there was talk about it being announced on July 1, and then it didn't get announced, and then everybody's like, "What's going on?" And then a report came out a couple weeks ago from one of the local stations around here saying that maybe Dahlin, who is represented by Newport Sports, Don Meehan, Craig Oster, I think is his main agent, that they were looking at maybe we want a 5-year deal, like go down the Austin Matthews route. Now, the funny thing was, Russ, when we were at the draft, the talk was the deal was going to be 10 and a quarter.
Yeah,
it ended up being 11, and I have no evidence on this other than it ended up being 11. And I somehow think, well, did they have to pay a little more to get the 8 years, and because they wanted the 5 years? I think so too.
I think so. I think that's the Buffalo overpay because they're not yet a destination team, and so I do think they had to do that. Plus, they probably got tipped off a few weeks ago how much the cap was going to go up and what Gary was going to mention at the meeting, at the Board of Governors meeting. So you put those things together and you get the 11. Now, of course, I was getting texts like this is McDavid money and this is crazy money. Now, do I think it's a little high? I do. And I don't think, for people that want to say, oh, this contract will look cheap 2-3 years in, it's not going to look cheap 2-3 years in. No, it might look cheaper 5 or 6 years in. Then you have to see where Dahlin is as a player. But, he had 73 points in 78 games as a defenseman. That's a tremendous year. But we all know that he still hasn't even reached the ceiling defensively yet.
Yeah, remember, he's now the second highest paid defenseman in the NHL behind only Erik Karlsson. He's making more than Doughty. He's making more than Carr. He's making more than Adam Fox.
Yeah, that's the inequity of it. Like, we get it.
Yeah. No, so he's making more than Norris Trophy winners. And when Fox's deal comes up and when McCarr's deal comes up in a couple of years, he'll jump over them just like McDavid will jump past Matthews. Okay. I like Dahlin as a player. I think he's an immense talent. Offensively, he is fantastic. Like you said, 73 points. He's a power play quarterback. He's one of the best puck rushing defensemen in the league. He's big. At times he can be physical. He seems to be only physical with Austin Matthews.
He also takes up a lot of room on the ice, right? He's one of those guys that you have to kind of like work your, when he's coming up the ice, you don't want to necessarily be in front of him.
Right. But defensively right now, Eck, I'll go back to Stratomatic. He's a 4-1-4 right now.
One's a little rough, man.
Maybe a 2, but the thing,
like a Phil Housley.
If
I think a 4-2.
That's fair.
And later on in his career, Housley became a 3 or 4. But by the way, folks, in Stratomatic defensive ratings, 5 is like Rod Langway, superstar, defensive.
John Erickson.
Yeah, no, I'm talking. But I know. And 1 is Paul Coffey in terms of just being a bad defensive defenseman. But he's
the highest he can be offensively.
No, and this is the thing. Anybody who watched the Sabres play Pittsburgh, and it was a preseason game, so you maybe make excuses. But on a 2-on-1 break, I have not seen a defenseman play a 2-on-1 break worse than Rasmus Dahlin did. He let Drew O'Connor walk to the front of the net and walk right around Devin Levi for a goal. He's got to improve. Now, the thing is, they played him with Connor Clifton all preseason, and then lo and behold, Russ, this morning, who'd they play him with? Matthias Samuelsson, his security blanket, the guy.
He's there for him. They signed a long contract for him.
Right.
Which is perfect, and I don't have a problem with that. That's
I don't either.
That. Like a lot of these great, like Paul Coffey had, Huddy, right? Charlie Huddy.
But he is going to have to improve a little bit because there are going to be times when they're in the playoffs, and he's going to have to make some plays defensively.
Right. Yeah.
But does he deserve $11 million? I think it's a little bit of an overpay. Is he a really good defenseman? Yes. The Sabres, the one thing that you have to give the Sabres organization and Kevin Adams a lot of credit for is that they've targeted their core guys and they've locked them up. They've locked, Samuelson's not a core guy, but he's a very important piece in terms of what we just talked about with Dahlin. Dahlin now locked up for 8 years. They locked up Thompson for 7 years, Dylan Cousins for 7 years. They locked up their 2 top.
You're going to lock up Power to some degree.
Power and Kevin Adams talked about this. I get the feeling, Russ, that when you're giving Dahlin $11 million for over 8 years, you're basically admitting that Power is going to end up getting a bridge deal.
Right.
So now that might
better, who's better in the long run? Dahlin's better.
Right now, but Dahlin is better, but Dahlin's been in the league for 5 years and Power's been in the league for 1.25. So I think Power will be a much more well-rounded defenseman. I don't think he'll be as good offensively as Dahlin, but I think he'll be much better defensively than Dahlin.
I think it's like asking the question, like, who was better, Brian Leetch or Scott Niedermayer? Because they were really good at different things. And, and I think that's the same thing with Power and Dahlin. Power can get you a ton of points too, but obviously Dahlin's their chosen guy, so he's not going to get all the same opportunities. So that's why Power is probably not going to sign an 8-year deal, because he probably wants to be that guy someday. And we'll say, all right, I'll take 5 because maybe we can win a championship here. But at some point, he's going to want to be that guy because he is that kind of guy.
I think the bigger story here might be, and I think you're right about that, but I don't know. It depends. You can have 2 guys like that.
Other than trading and it's guys are older.
Yeah, no, it's really incredibly rare.
It doesn't really exist anywhere.
But it can only exist in a situation like this where a team has 2 first overall picks that end up
right.
Because they hold him for a while. Like he can't go anywhere for a while. So
Ottawa has Shabbat and Sanderson and Chikrin.
Shabbat was already kind of.
Shabbat was a mid.
Sanderson wasn't a number 1 overall pick either. So
no, he was. I was saying he was a mid first round pick. Sanderson was a top 5 pick. And they both got them on sort of team friendly deals. And the funny thing was, Bruce Garriott came out and said, "Well, the Jake Sanderson deal looks really good now when you look at Dahlin making 11." And I like Bruce, but I'm telling you right now, they're 2 totally different.
Completely different guys. Completely.
Sanderson, I think Sanderson tops out at maybe 45 to 50 points.
Yeah,
and that's good.
Fine.
Yeah, that's good. I think he's an excellent,
he's a better 2-way player. But I think that. Right. But I think the bigger picture it made for Buffalo is the fact that you mentioned all these contracts that they're signing long term. Yep. And the fact is that players are buying into the Buffalo Sabres. Every time one of these long-term contracts.
And max deals, though. They're buying in because they're getting max deals.
Thompson wasn't necessarily a max deal.
He's a max deal.
7 years. It was 7 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't 8.
How many millions of dollars in 7 years?
7.1, something like that.
Right, so 7.1. If he's a 50 goal scorer, that's not a max deal.
Well, but he had never done it in his career. They did it early. That's the only reason
He's 40. I mean, if you get 40 goals, that's
okay. I mean, that's a fair argument.
He had 1 year of 38 goals, and before that, he'd been injured for 2 years. So it was a roll of the dice, and then they hit 7.
When we think I think that the majority of people around the league think that they got a steal with that deal. They really, I mean,
but that was one. But there was a lot of risk.
But it was risky, and Dylan
was risky.
Yeah, and Dylan,
but that was also the point where, they had to give players like that kind of money. It was a little bit different. Like that's what I'm saying about the change in the attitude of the Buffalo Sabres. Like Dallin's getting $11 million. Dallin, if he goes anywhere, like he's going to get that. If he goes to open market, he's going to get that. Yeah, so I think at least.
Dylan Cousins scored 31 goals on the last year of his entry level.
Right.
Now he's making 7.1 million. So they rolled the dice, they gambled, and they've been successful on both of those guys. And they got the proof of what they think Dahlin is going to be going forward. He's 23 years old. It's a good gamble, but a lot of the other things have to pay off, and that's where there's a lot of skepticism right now because. This team to make the playoffs have to keep the puck out of the net. They have a 21-year-old goaltender. They kept 3 goalies just to prevent Tampa Bay from claiming one of them on waivers. And so, I mean, I'm optimistic that the Sabres are going to be in the race until the very end. But I think that Kevin Adams is probably going to have to make a deal at the deadline to add a defenseman or add a goalie to get them over the line. And I don't know. I
think so. I think that's fair. I just think long term though, what I call sort of max is it doesn't have to be 8-year deal. What I think it is, it's max of what you're worth as a player. And I felt like that's what they paid Cousins at the time. That's what they definitely paid Thompson. Now he may exceed that, for the rest of his career. It's possible. Yeah. And they're going to do the same thing with Power. He's going to end up getting like $9 million.
Well, if he takes a bridge deal, probably not. If he takes a bridge deal,
bridge deal he won't.
Yeah, bridge deal he's going to get probably in the high 4s to 5.
In the 5, yeah.
I mean, it depends how much he wants to do. Like Buffalo for many years. Was a place where players really wanted to play. Like it was not a hard place to get people to. So, and lately it has been harder because they haven't made the playoffs for such a long time. You don't have to go so far back. I mean, remember Jeff Skinner signed an 8-year deal because he's from Toronto. It's close to his family, and he thought with Reinhart and Eichel. That they were going to make a run. Eichel signed an 8-year deal. Now the thing is that turned out to be a disaster for the Sabres because everything fell apart. Ralph Kruger ruined things. It got harmonious injuries. All that whole situation. There's a lot of positivity right now with Buffalo. They're all talking the good game about this is going to be a destination place, and they should. They're exciting, but they're not complete. And it's going to be a very challenging season for them. It's going to be a tough road to hoe when it comes to making the playoffs in the East.
Yeah, here's the thing about destination places, Ek. All Philly has to do is get slightly better, and they're back to being a destination place. Right. Buffalo has to struggle to be a destination place. Winnipeg can never be a destination place. There are other places, other cities in this league that players look at, and that they're not in their top 1, 2, or 3, or 4 slots. They're just not. And we see it every year.
I disagree with you with Buffalo. I think it's strong to be a destination place. I really don't think it does. I think it's very close to being a Canadian city. And players who go there, like even guys like I know lots of players go back there who aren't there anymore. Go back and train there.
Because
they go in the summer when it's nice.
They don't have to pay the Canadian taxes, and they can live in. But New York is almost as bad. But no,
I mean you got towns like Cheektowaga, places like that where people don't want to live. But
garden spot of the universe.
Besides that, it's pretty.
Think about it. If you're going to tell me now, if you think Buffalo's in like the top 10. Or will get in the top 10. There's no way.
They just need to be in the middle of the pack. But this is the thing. Destination cities for a lot of players are places where they're not going to be the center of attention, and it's no tax, like Florida, like Tampa, like Nashville, Dallas. Like that. Those are the. Now the thing is,
that's one factor, Mike. But
that's one factor.
That's a big factor these days.
It's a big factor, right? But see, this is Toronto is a destination city, but the problem is that the players won't take less to play in Toronto. They want to be paid top dollar, and that's the whole thing. If you want to go someplace, you have to take a little less. Tampa can do that because they're no tax.
Sure, and Florida can do that. I mean, it's not. I mean, there's so many different elements to what makes it.
I mean, Nashville has become a destination place, and they're not even a great team anymore. But the city, people want to live in that city, so players flock there.
But there was a time when they couldn't sign anybody. So it's
but that was 10 years ago.
Big news. The Winnipeg Jets. Somebody just put in the Winnipeg Jets have announced Connor Hellebuck and Scheifele have been extended 7 years at $8.5 million per.
Wow, that's shocking. That is pretty shocking.
I guess they did them together, because I was just on a show and I was saying, look, I picked Winnipeg to make the playoffs. Sorry, I'm going to say that, but I said this could be the last year of Scheifele and Hellebuck. They're going to probably walk them right to free agency if something doesn't happen. I'm shocked that happened. I am.
Yeah, I'm genuinely. Well, okay. First of all, I mean, Hellebuck. They said, he wanted to stay if they paid him.
Right. Now, but it was unclear that they were going to pay him.
Right. No. And we heard during the summer rack is, Scheifele, if Hellebuck's going to get traded, he wanted to sign the extent. He wanted to go someplace. He would sign the extension.
Yeah. Wow. This is a pretty big deal. I mean, this is
a big deal.
The couple things that come to mind with this, like Cheveldayoff, this is a vote of confidence for Cheveldayoff. Honestly, it's like, and I've been thinking.
I think first of all, ownership had to sign it, but honestly,
he had to sign off, but I would think that we don't know exactly, but I would think that he was the one who wanted to make this deal.
Oh, sure. I mean, look, I give Cheveldayoff great credit. I've told you that many, many times because he has to do more with less. Yeah. Like Mike has always said, he's got to get players with term. It's a tricky GM spot, and this is a big deal.
Big deal.
I mean, well, okay. This was the interesting thing because in listening to 32 Thoughts, the excellent podcast with Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman, and they were talking about ticket sales in Winnipeg lagging because there was a specter here. Dubois had a year left in the contract. They traded him for 2 or 3 good pieces, but Scheifele, there was talk about him all during the summer, and Hellebuck all during the summer. So to get these guys locked up, along with Ehlers, along with Morrissey, there's still that core there, and they're young enough that they can still be competitive and still be a playoff team. So this is a massive, massive deal for Winnipeg.
Massive.
We're getting. Somebody's got the.
Interesting that they're identical.
Act, do you have the player the YouTube open? Because I'm hearing myself come back.
I'm gonna my computer is completely whacked. I'm gonna restart. I'm gonna come back. Okay.
Okay. That's probably what it is.
Right back. Thanks. Sorry about that. No,
but yeah, no. I mean, this is absolute. I mean, that's a
now
shock.
I'm convinced they're making the playoffs. Convinced.
Well, they definitely have a better chance now because look at what we were gonna look at what was on the agenda. It was going to basically be like what's going on in Toronto, what's going to go on with Toronto the next 3 or 4 months. Are you going to trade Nylander? What do you get for him? Are you going to sign him? And if he doesn't, are you going to walk him to free agency? And it's like, now that's a distraction, even though the player will say, well, I don't want to talk about this, so I'm not going to talk about it after today. Good luck. It's still going to be out there. It's still going to be talked about. So now it's put away. It's not an 8-year deal. It's a 7-year deal. I mean, $8.5 million is very respectable. Now Hellebuck, I think, let's see. The only goaltenders I think that are above Carey Price doesn't count anymore because he's on LTIR. I think the only goalie that's ahead of him is Vasilevsky and Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We understand. I want to tell GSM, we understand how rich ownership is. They still have the same cap as everybody else.
Right. And I'm not slagging on Winnipeg because Pete Tessier will come after me if I did. But you got to convince these players to go to Winnipeg, to be in a place where it's minus 20 for 4 months. Now, if they're Canadian kids, they won't mind it. But, if you're talking about somebody from, Russia or the US or whatever.
I'm not going there and plugging in my car. I'm just not doing it.
I mean, Dustin Bufflin was from Minnesota, so it was colder there than it was in Winnipeg.
Right.
But, or Ehlers or these guys from Sweden or Finland. Okay. But, some people don't want to be in the cold all that time. That's why these warm weather cities like Tampa and like the Florida Panthers and the teams in California.
I like to be outside in April.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, GSM. Yes, I know. Is it Chipman? No, who is it?
Chipman.
Chipman. Yeah. He's
Mark Chipman, I believe.
Yeah, he's loaded.
He's loaded. We get it.
Yeah.
But no, this is significant. So I guess we should talk about Tampa and the goaltending situation.
Yeah. So everybody, and it wasn't just me. It was some of the reporters that I've been around with the Sabres and other reporters, and we were talking about it with Jeff Merrick yesterday on the Off the Post show about it looked likely that because Martin Jones had been placed on waivers and he was making $875,000, and that's something that Tampa Bay could have fit in. And you look at their goaltending, and it's Jonas Johansson and Matt Tompkins, and it's like, okay, that's not exactly great. I mean, if they pick up at least Martin Jones, we know Martin Jones is an average goaltender at best now. He used to be really good, but he's an average goaltender. But, if you want to improve your chances of going at least 500 until you get Vasilevsky back, which, could be in January, I think, but they didn't go that direction. The Martin Jones cleared waivers. The Russian goaltender from Arizona cleared waiver, or no, he didn't clear waivers, but he may have gone ahead of Colorado. I think was ahead of Tampa, so they claimed him. So they're going with Johansson and Tompkins, and I'm a little stunned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little stunned, but it's not going to be for long.
Well, yeah. Axe says he's coming back and he's going to send Pete an invite if he wants to come on.
But this is not going to be for long, Mike.
No. I mean, if you think that they're going to trade for somebody, how much under the cap they are?
$2. I know, and John Cusack wants that $2. But the thing is,
wow.
Well, but the thing is, they still can claim somebody if they want today.
Yeah, if they send Tompkins down to the minors,
which they still might do.
But no, the waivers has already passed and they cleared.
Well, okay, but they can wait till the next possible day and make a change.
If there are other goaltenders that are put out there.
Well, there was, and we should talk about that.
Well, go ahead.
So Ivan Prostolev was apparently one of those guys for Arizona, and they waived him. And, of course, Colorado took him because Colorado's like, yeah, we don't have a goalie. We need him to back up. So that's amazing. And it's amazing because we thought, sure, he was going to be the was going to be the goaltender of the future in Arizona, and they've locked on to Connor Ingram now, giving him a 3-year deal. And again, Colorado comes out smelling like a rose. Again, I don't know how else I could say this, but sometimes the good teams are really good because there are bad teams and bad organizations. And that's and you go look in history, and that's a fact that they've been helped along all the way. And this is going to help them tremendously.
Well, okay, and I'm not going to say that Alex Barboulay is going to be a superstar, but yeah, when Tampa Bay waives Alex Barboulay and he gets claimed by Seattle, and then lo and behold, 2 weeks later, Seattle puts him on waivers to try to sneak him down to the AHL, and Oh my God, who claimed him?
Tampa.
And what happened again? I'm not saying Lassie Thompson is going to win the Norris, but Ottawa waives Lassie Thompson. He gets claimed by Anaheim, and then 2 weeks later, Anaheim waives Lassie Thompson, and who claims him? Ottawa. Now you could be conspiratorial minded and say, well, Pat Verbeek was doing a favor for Pierre Dorian, but the thing is, and I guess now I thought it was if the team that waived him claimed him, they can send him to the AHL. That's the case. But if nobody else claimed him, they can send him to the AHL. If somebody else tried to claim him and Ottawa was first in line, then Ottawa's got to carry him on the NHL roster. And I don't know if they want to do that. So
somehow these teams work it out. That's my point. And Colorado looked like they were in bad shape, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, Arizona's helping them out. And it's like, is Arizona's goaltending that good that they should have helped him out? There's a lot of teams. Here's my basic point, Mike. A lot of teams are holding on to 3 goalies not to help these teams so they can maybe get an asset out of it. And Arizona's roster is so good that all of a sudden they can't hold 3 for a week.
Yeah, no, I mean, Florida sent Spencer Knight down to the minors to prevent losing Anthony Stolarz.
Right.
Detroit kept Alex Lyon, Reimer, and Husso to prevent having to waive one of them. And these are all, I call this the Vasilevsky effect.
Yeah. Look, Sandstrom hasn't gone through waivers yet with the Flyers for obvious reasons. They're playing around with Urson's availability right now.
Buffalo kept Levi, Comrie, and Luukkonen. All this because
Detroit's kept 3 too.
Yeah, that's what I said. Reimer, Lyon, and Husso. 3 teams.
You did say that, sorry.
Yeah, 3 teams in the Atlantic Division made sure that they didn't expose a third goaltender. Toronto didn't have that luxury because they're up against the cap, so they waived Jones, and they were lucky, and they got Jones through waivers.
And Arizona's like, hey, we're sending down our goalie today. Guess what?
They waived and okay, I'm not casting aspersions about Connor Ingram because he's had some moments in the NHL, especially with Nashville in the playoffs a couple years ago. But if you're telling me a 24-year-old Russian goaltender who was thought to be their best prospect in goal, and they waive him and they keep Connor Ingram, I don't think Tampa Bay would have claimed a goalie that had 3 years on his contract.
No.
I don't think they could have.
Right.
And do you think Colorado would have wanted to? They have Francouz signed for, I think, another year after this year.
But Tampa could still do something. And it still wouldn't shock me if they do.
Well, I know that they waived Zach Bogosian, and apparently they tried to find a destination for him that, wanted him as a veteran guy. He's still on their roster. I don't think they sent him down. I don't think they sent him down to Syracuse. So that's an unresolved situation. But right now, like I said, with the whole LTIR with I think it was with Seabrook, whose contract they got from Chicago, and I think it was Logan Brown. Yeah, once they signed Austin Watson, they're $2 underneath the cap.
Sorry, I had to go to my iPad. My computer just totally froze up on me. Sorry.
Hey, you look better now.
Yeah. All right, let's talk some predictions, I guess.
Yep.
Okay.
Pete, I sent a message to him, but I'm not sure if he's available, X. So.
Yeah, no, I just thought
it's Thanksgiving there, so.
Yep, that's true.
Oh, it is. That's right.
He's knee deep in stuffing.
So this is a big gift, a big Thanksgiving gift for all of our Winnipeg fans.
Winnipeggers.
Yeah, I mean, just for a second, I know you guys talked about it, but I wanted to say that I think that this is, the word was everywhere that Hellebuyck wanted out of there.
Well, he wanted to get paid. That's the thing. Yeah. He wanted to get paid.
Right.
And he should, because he's one of the best goaltenders in the league. So, there was a question of whether he was going to get paid in Winnipeg. And that's, I think, he took a year less, and I think he took a little bit less of a hair. He took a little bit of a haircut
Right.
Because he was expecting to get an over 9. He wanted that was the asking price.
But this is a lot of years for a goalie who has been inconsistent. I mean, like at best, like. I mean, I really, you guys know that I'm not the biggest Hellebuck fan, but
I know, and I don't get it because it's like, you know,
you say where
you love.
I don't
Thomas
understand where you come up with.
Where
do you come up with inconsistent? Honestly, where do you come up with
inconsistent?
You love Thomas Greiss, but you hate Gibson and you hate Hellebuck.
Have you watched him?
Yeah, did he not make the playoffs last year?
Sure, he made the playoffs.
He's one of the
like every goalie makes the playoffs now.
But I mean,
he's a top 5 goalie in this league. Top 5.
You could take. I'll take him over UC Saros every day and Sunday.
No way, not a chance.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
The three Russians are in the top 3.
Yep.
And then Hellebuck is at that next level. He, it's like, yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, he's been like. I mean, there have been years when he's been awful. I mean, years that we didn't make the playoffs where he was just terrible.
Because they play him 65 games. See, this is the thing. Talk about load management.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I mean,
they play him. They grind him into the friggin' ground. It's like, I mean, it's the Freddie Anderson experience in Toronto. It's like, whoa, he had nothing left in the playoffs. Yeah, because you played him 65 friggin' games. That's
right.
Why.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I mean, but at the same time, to compare him to Thomas Greiss for a second, Russ, like
I was just saying,
that was Mike.
I was just saying you love Thomas.
No,
Greiss.
I love Thomas Greiss as a backup. Okay, like I would like Cheveldaev even as a better backup. But I'm just saying that I like Cheveldaev is a better goaltender than Greiss. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying as a starter to take you the entire way, and as the best American starter for the future, I'm not sold on that he's the best American goalie.
All right, well here's some stats for you.
The Canadians, let me just say, Russ, the Canadians right now, if we go to the Olympics, if they go to the Olympics in 2026, if Devin Levi doesn't turn out to be a superstar, the Canadians would kill to kidnap Connor Hellebuck and make him a Canuck.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
no.
They have no goaltending.
Carter Hart is better than Connor Hellebuck.
Oh my God.
No, what? You seriously? I'm not
seriously, he's not.
He is. He absolutely is.
And
you guys are insane.
Hellebuck has a lifetime .916 save percentage. He's been in the top 10 for wins 5 of 10 years, and he's only been in the league 8 years. And if you're telling me that you expect him to be in the top 10 wins with Winnipeg every year, that's not an easy task. So it's not because he's on a great team.
No, but he plays like we talked about. He plays 65 games, so that is increasing your ability to be in the top 10.
Okay, all right. So
wow, interesting.
Show me the stat that says that Carter Hart's better. Show me his Vezina.
No, I'm just telling you.
Anything.
I'm not even going. No, I'm not going to show you statistics. I'm going to show you the eye test tells you that Carter Hart's a better goalie than Connor Hellebuck. It's not even. It's not a battle. Like to me, it's not. And
it's not a battle.
I'm not. Listen, I'm just saying. I mean, time will tell. You'll see. I mean,
all right. Here's something. Okay, so for his career so far, here's who he's in line with on Hockey Reference, just to show you. Andrei Vasilevsky, Tim Thomas, Ken Dryden. I mean, these are pretty big names. I don't see Carter Hart's name on there.
No, not yet. I mean, Carter Hart's way younger, obviously, way younger than Connor Hellebuck.
No, but they're going by career. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's
but just career-wise, Carter Hart should probably really should be in the league for like a year at this point. But he's been, like you said, he came in too soon. But he's like, he really is still a youngster, like Carter Hart. He's just going to be the Canadian goalie, I think, at the Olympics. Do we disagree with that?
Well, I mean, that's not a big accomplishment. There's not that many good Canadian goalies.
I just said because obviously the Olympics will be in 2026 if they go. I'm saying Canada right now is praying to God that Devin Levi is a superstar, because if Carter Hart is their starting goaltender, they're going to get out goaltended by the Swedes, by the
Americans have 4 or 5 goalies, 4 or 5.
Yeah. Yeah,
Canada's hurting. Ack doesn't want to hear it now, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. No, he just turned us off. I can't listen to the fact that UC Saros is not as good. Yeah, I mean, come on, let's go.
See, GSM says Carter Hart's stats are currently worse than Jarry, and actually, I would put Hart and Jarry on the same level.
Yes, I agree with that. And you look at Pittsburgh. and you look at the next 2 years, and Kyle Dubas is betting on, there's still being something left in the tank with Letang and Malkin and Gensel and Rust and Crosby, obviously, and adding Carlson. But it's all for naught if Jari doesn't take a step forward. And, Jari at times has been a really good goaltender, and at times has been really bad and been hurt. So, yeah, no, I think Carter Hart is in that sort of middle 10 range.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that, if you watch, you watch the Flyers all the time.
I watch them all the time.
He's too good to be on that team at this point. Like,
okay, but that could be said about a lot of players.
But he's winning. He's keeping them winning games they shouldn't win. There's no question about it. They're not going to get rid of him. They got a lot of offers to get rid of him. People want him.
They probably will trade him this year.
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, anything's possible, but I mean, and his stats, listen, team, goalies, you have to take team into consideration with goalie stats. So it's completely, like he's
okay. But again, there have been many goalies over the years that still win a Vezina on a bad team, and he hasn't accomplished that.
Yeah. No, that's true, but not a team like the Fly, not a team that bad. Not like there's not. I mean,
they've only been this bad for 2 or 3 years,
right?
They were not always this bad.
But that's 60% of Carter Hart's career. They've been.
But he had years. The year in the bubble, he didn't win a Vezina. Like he could have won it that year.
No, he could have. But he's a rookie. I mean, first of all, right? He was a rookie that year. That was the second year, perhaps. It was second year.
No, I think it was the second year. I think.
Right, and he was, the reason they got through around in the playoffs. He was the reason they did that. So I mean, at the end, he was incredible in that playoff series. We remember. So I think
somebody blocked Randy. He said Markstrom's better than all of them. Randy's been drinking clearly.
No. Markstrom's very good, but no,
he is very good.
I don't think we should do predictions today. I think we should start tomorrow. We'll do that because it's a 3-4.
Okay.
I have a hard out at 4. But
okay.
We'll definitely start for them starting tomorrow.
That's fine.
But yeah, no, I think this. I'm just, I'm pretty shocked. Russ, I thought you were more on the Carter Hart bandwagon than this.
You're talking about Hellebuck. You're not talking about
Hellebuck.
This is one of the better goalies in the league.
Heck, he's been nominated for multiple Vezinas. Multiple.
No, I he has been, and I just don't get it. Like, he's like, and listen, I
don't get it. It's because his peers and the general managers in the league think he's good.
I've seen him play very well. Okay, I've seen him play very well, but I've also seen him play very inconsistently and very poorly, and I've seen him hurt the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, I think, if Pete was on here with us, I think he would agree with me. Like, it's like he's not a guarantee to this kind of contract. This could be a contract that they regret. Is what I'm saying. This could really be a regretful contract.
I don't think so.
I mean, he's how old is he now? Connor Hellebuyck?
30, I believe.
So this is how many years is his contract? 7?
7.
So it takes him to 37.
I'm just double checking. I think he's 30. I think he just turned 30.
Yeah.
He's 30. Yes, 30.
Okay, so he's 30. Yeah, I mean,
he turned 30 in May. So yeah,
maybe. I mean, listen. I know that I probably underrate him. I do watch them a lot, though. I do watch the Jets a lot. But and no one. Usually people do agree with me, and no one in the chat room agrees with me, which is pretty funny. But I don't know. I think that. Listen, I'm not sold on. I think that this is a interesting. I mean, Scheifele also. I mean, for what it's worth, listen, they're 2 big players for this team, right? But at the same time, for what it's worth, they haven't done anything with these guys. Like, there is another side to this signing.
Well, okay.
The side to the signing is teams would have lined up to get either one of these players, and it would have ripped the heart out of their team, literally.
No. I mean, what I think Eck is saying here is because I've heard the comparison.
Can you translate it? Because I'm just not getting it.
I've heard the comparisons between that Winnipeg is essentially the Leafs West. That you've got the core that has never won anything. That has not advanced. Now Winnipeg, they advanced to a conference final.
No, they had one run.
They had Bufflin and Wheeler, and some people think that Wheeler needed to get out of that locker room for this team to sort of take the next step. And the younger generation, the Scheifele's and the Ehlers and those, and have Cole Perfetti step up. I mean, I think the whole point is, and it was proven partially last year with Toronto. You surround those players with great support, and they can win.
Yeah,
and Winnipeg is never. That's the problem. Good luck. You get to sign Adam Lowry. You get to keep Neil Pionk there, but you don't get 3 or 4 or 5 players like that, and you need those guys to be a championship team.
Oh, no question.
You've had some bad luck too. The injury to Perfetti hurts them now because he was looking really good. I mean, look, they've had stuff go on, but all I'm saying
the injury to Brian Little would still be a good.
Little
player.
was a tough one for them, but. Yeah. Just getting back to the goalie thing, I look at Hart. He's been in the league 5 years. I get what kind of team the Flyers are. I do, but that still doesn't give him a complete pass on the kind of goalie he is. And he's a very good goalie. And he's, like Mike said, he's in that middle tier right now of goalies. He's not an elite goalie.
I think middle tier means he's 11 to 19 or 20, right? So it's
okay. Here, Mark. Okay, see, this is
he's not in the top 10.
This is the thing. Like, I think the 3 Russians are the top 3 goalies in the league, and then I think the next level is Hellebuck, Ottinger, Demko, Gibson, all Americans, by the way.
And I think Georgiev
is up there, and so that's.
Wait, so you're
telling me right now? You're telling me, Russ, that they would trade. That the Flyers would be happy to trade Carter Hart for Georgiev.
No, I'm not saying that because you have to have. I mean, again, you don't ever trade a goalie for a goalie anyhow. It's not 1970.
No, but I mean, just like you'd rather have Georgiev on your team than Carter Hart.
Currently, yes.
Yeah.
You would.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
What? Okay. Other than in the bubble, what has Carter Hart proven? Nothing. And this is the thing. It's like, again, this all stems back to what they did with him as a 20 to 21-year-old, calling him up early, and I think sort of ruining him in turn. Now, I think he's a good goaltender. I think he could have been better had they let him stay in Lehigh for a full year. That's one of my criticisms of the Sabres right now. Right. I think they're a playoff team if they had a veteran goaltender, if they had somebody, but Devin Levi is a flip of the coin. He's got immense talent, but he's 21 years old, and they have no fallback. If Devin Levi fails, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen was like this all last year, and Eric Comrie was hurt twice. So you don't know what you're gonna. You don't know what you have in Levi. They have hopes. I mean, if they traded for Hellebuck, the Sabres are a playoff team. No doubt in my mind.
They did. They tried. I mean, they actually tried to make that deal. There were no question. I have no question from talking to people around the Sabres team, and they go, I know that that discussion went down. They did try to do that. And I was not 100% for it, and neither was, I'll tell you, like somebody else wasn't for it. It was Marty Biron, who agreed with me. Like, they shouldn't be trading for him for Hellebuck.
Well, if they had traded for him, then they probably wouldn't have been able to sign Dahlin, or it would have been tight with their cap situation because, then you're paying Hellebuck probably $9 million or close to $9 million. And right now they have a rookie goaltender with 2 more years at $925,000, and they can fill around the other positions. But
here's an example: 22-23. I'm just making sure I got the year right on top here. Yep, 22-23. We're talking about the save leaders in the league. Saros 1, Hellebuck 2, Gibson 3, Georgiev 4, Vasilevsky 5, Sorokin 6, Binnington 7, tied with Ottinger, Shesterkin, and then Kemper maybe is the outlier there.
All right. I mean, you're looking at teams like, you went through a bunch of teams there that give up a ton of shots, too. So you're talking about teams that are like really, not the greatest defensive teams in that situation, too. This is a team stat to a degree, as well. You're talking about, like the.
Right. But you still have to make the saves. And what I'm pointing out is Georgiev is 4th on that, on what's looked at as a great team, but they're not a great defensive team. They give up a ton of shots.
No, they do. They give up a ton of shots. And listen, I'm not like trying to diss Georgiev here. I just don't think. I know. I don't think he's in Carter Hart's league, and I don't think Gibson is either. I mean, and you guys and Gibson again plays for a terrible team,
right?
So you can use the comparisons there, right? And makes a lot of saves and does have good numbers.
All I'm saying is, if you look at some of these lists for statistics, you will not find Carter Hart in the top 12 or 13 of all these goals.
2 years ago, an Anaheim Ducks team that had absolutely no business being in a playoff race were in the playoffs in, I think, January. Why? Because Gibson was insane. He was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, no,
and then he got burned out.
No question. He got a hell of a year then. And, he has – and listen, he's – again, everybody thinks I hate Gibson. I don't hate Gibson. I just think he's overrated for what people think. No, I think Gibson and Hellebuyck I put as two of the more overrated goalies in the league. And I just feel like when you
I will accept if you say Gibson is overrated to a degree. I cannot accept that saying Hellebuyck when the guy's won a Vezina and he's been up for 2 Vezinas. He was a finalist for 2 Vezinas.
I know, and and listen, listen.
And he's overrated in spite of that.
So you're just saying every GM in the league is dumb because they vote on it.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. They're all
okay.
Dumb.
All right.
I'm glad you agree with me. I'm glad you figured that out. Exactly what I mean.
Just to finish off the show, because we actually got to go in 2 minutes here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I always like these stories, and we always see it. These young kids getting the 9 games, and Connor Bedard's getting more than 9 games, folks. But Fraser Minton, who was the Leafs' second-round pick last year, it's funny because they traded out of the first round to get rid of Peter Mrazek's contract with Chicago, and they got a second-round pick. So they traded down like 9 or 10 picks, and they got Fraser Minton. And he is a really good young player, real smart kid, 19 years old, probably will make the World Junior team for Canada. But he made the Leafs at least for a little while. Maybe he gets the 9 games, maybe he gets less than that, but he had a great training camp. They rewarded him. They had the option of sending Holmberg down because he was waiver exempt. So I think they're going to give Minton a few games and see how he does. And if he plays well, maybe he stays, but I think he earned a longer look based on the way he played, and that's always, that's optimistic, and that's a good thing for a young kid.
Yeah, no, it is great. It is great. I agree. And so before I go, I'll make this bet with you guys. Ready? I'm going to make a bet about a Carter Hart versus Hellebuyck bet this year. Okay, because this is what Carter Hart
wins.
No, not wins. No, because
you can't do wins. That's unfair.
Can't do wins. I will bet save percentage though. I'll go save percentage. Carter Hart.
Sure. Yeah, I'll take that bet.
Cookie. You owe me but 12,000 cookies, so we'll bet
all day long.
Hey, I've won a lot of bets too, Mike. But yes. Okay, so we're going to go with
none of those Islander bets.
We will monitor. Yes. I'll even give you Gibson and Hellebuyck. I'll say Carter Hart will be better.
I mean, Gibson, he's playing for a team that's going for friggin' Celebrini, basically.
So the save percentage, Carter Hart will beat both of them. And
well, I'm only doing Hellebuyck, so I don't care.
Okay, all right, that's fine. So that'll be the deal. But so you can track that this year. That'll be a lot of fun for everyone. Remember, without the buzz, it's just hockey. I know I'm right. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
He's not
with predictions. Promise.